Keith Finnegan Show, in association with Yates College, Galway's only independent second-level college. Visit yatescollege.ie.
Councillor Derek Nolan of Labour is going forward, and he sits opposite me today. Derek, good morning to you.
Good morning, Keith.
How's your campaign going?
Great, Keith. I'm enjoying it. It's going well. We have a great crowd out. Very different kind of group. We have some old Labour Party people who've been around for a while, Michael Dease people, and they're giving me great support. But we have a lot of young people who've got involved, want to see a change, and a lot of my own family. We have the Nolans from Bohermore and the Elwas from the West all out campaigning for a strong.
Are you confident?
I'm not confident, Keith. I don't take anything as being certain. I'm hopeful, and I know that we're running a good campaign, and we're offering a different kind of politics, and people are reacting well to it.
As one Labour person said, they're firing the kitchen sink at you.
We're certainly putting in a great campaign.
Okay, a lot of questions in today for you, and the top of the agenda happens to be the abortion referendum, the abortion situation, and they want to know what is your position on abortion. They also want to know in relation to your personal view, but also what is the official view from Labour. Can you clarify that, because there's a lot of questions about that?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, Keith, that a group of people have set out to slander the Labour Party and to attack us on it. I was in Merview Church on Saturday for the anniversary of my uncle's anniversary, and people have come up to me asking me why you're going to introduce abortion, and it's simply not true. I had a run-in on yesterday when we were canvassing with a German man who was handing out leaflets saying the Labour Party will introduce abortion. It's simply not true.
So what is the official line?
The official line is that the Labour Party respects the outcome of the referendum, which the people voted on.
So no abortion?
No abortion. Our line is the same as Fianna Fáil's line. That is that the Supreme Court has said that in the case where there's a risk to the life of the mother, and only in those circumstances will such a procedure be allowed. And that's the same as Fianna Fáil, and it's the same as other parties. And I think that's a reasonable line. We respect the outcome of those referendums, and we respect the will of the people, and that is the position, and that is what Labour will do in government.
Okay, can you ask Derek Nolan, what is the difference between Labour and Fine Gael?
Oh, that's a big one, Keith. I think, first of all, our record is a lot different. I think over the last number of years, Labour has always stood up and spoke out against the kind of policies that got us to where we are, against land speculation and insider click, the right-wing neoliberal economics, which has led us to where we are. In the recent history, Fine Gael have voted for the bank guarantee. They're still siding with the bankers. They're refusing to introduce the Tobin tax. But in the terms of policy for the future, I think there are a number of ones. Fine Gael have joined into the chorus of assaulting our public services. I think they're trying to take too many people out. They're going to hurt people. They're going to hurt doctors.
Well, if that is the case, then how can you go into partnership with them?
Well, Keith, we're two separate parties.
Yeah, I think it is widely tipped that you will form the next government.
I think so. But in my view, and in the view of the pundits and the analysis, there's two possible outcomes to the election. Either it's going to be a Fine Gael-led government or a Labour-led government. And we're asking people to endorse our policy platform. Okay, and on the basis of the strengths of the two various parties, then we can negotiate a government.
But your two leaders are at loggerheads, constantly.
I don't say they're at loggerheads, Keith, but they're articulating different positions.
Well, it's totally different positions.
Not totally. I mean, there are differences. And the biggest difference, and it's an important difference that needs to be articulated, is that Fine Gael have bought into the line that Fianna Fáil is putting, that we have to have all of these cuts, all of this austerity over such a short period of time. It's called recovery. It's not, Keith. It's called damaging and hurting the economy further. I was in Clifton last Wednesday. I was talking to people who are running shops. People who've been running their shops and haven't been taking a wage out of them for the last two years. The reason is we're taking so much money out of people's pockets, the universal social charges, cuts, increased sales taxes, that people haven't got a penny to spend in shops, and shops are closing down. You only have to walk down the town in Shop Street. You see Shivago Records gone out of business. The Cellar Bar went under. Why is it going under? Because we're taking so much money out of people's pockets so quickly that it's killing the domestic economy. We have said as a Labour Party that we'll prioritise renegotiating the IMF EU deal to get the interest rates down, but also to put in place a stimulus package to get jobs and recovery back into the economy. It's what they did in the States, it's what they did in Europe. There's two very different approaches. Either you continue to cut, you continue to take money out of circulation, you allow businesses to go under, you allow people to go unemployed, or you invest in the economy. And they're two very stark differences.
Can you ask Derek Nolan, why do we need an investment bank as proposed by Labour Party when we have when the state effectively owned the current banks? Good good question.
It's a good question because and I'm glad to be able to clarify it, because there's been a lot of misspeak about what our investment bank. An investment bank is something different to a commercial bank. It won't have retail outlets. You won't be able to go in, have your current account, your deposit account with them. It's what they have in Germany after World War II. It's an investment bank that will use money from the pension fund, €2 billion initially, to capitalise it. It will allow it to go out onto the market and raise funds to invest in infrastructure projects, and that will be its primary remit. It would not be a wholesale bank. And people say, but we already have 2 banks. Of course we do, and we can use the staff from those banks to put them into the new bank. Just be aware, Keith, that Bank of Ireland isn't just one bank. It's about 8 different banks all under one umbrella group. Setting up a bank per se is a very easy thing to do, and operating it independently and in a different format is what we plan to do.
Okay, I have to fire this one at you again. It's just in. Derek Nolan is not telling the truth. Labour will legislate for abortion. Here we go again. You've explained it, and yet they're not accepting it.
I agree, Keith. I agree. I clarify it. I explain the position. People don't accept it because there are some people out there who have always opposed the Labour Party, no matter what we say. They opposed the right to family planning. They opposed the divorce, rights for gay partnerships. And there are people out there who will always continue to do that. And the Labour Party is not that kind of party.
So again, clarification on abortion. Give it to me clear again.
I have, Keith. The position on abortion is that the Labour Party accepts the will of the people. We have duties under the Supreme Court and the European Court of Human Rights to allow for it in cases where there is a serious threat to the life of the mother, and they are the only circumstances in which Labour will legislate for that.
Okay. Can you ask Derek Nolan what is his stance on the taxi industry?
The taxi industry, I have family members working in the taxi industry, and I think that it's appalling the way it's been allowed to go. What we have to remember is that taxi drivers are employees. They're working and they have a right to earn a living, and it's something that has been taken out of the discussion altogether. We have said that we would revamp the taxi industry to put in place a link between the number of taxis and economic demand, and make sure that there is a ratio there to ensure that taxi drivers can earn a living. What we also have to do is make sure that the regulator actually regulates and isn't simply putting down more and more rules and nonsense on taxi drivers, to make sure that bogus drivers are cracked down upon, that taxi drivers who are abusing the rules are cracked down upon, and that we have a fair taxi industry for drivers and for passengers.
In relation to reform, can you ask Derek Nolan what is his thoughts on the reform of places like FÁS, etc., where the financial regulator and CEOs of both organisations received $1 million tax-free for not doing their jobs? What are your thoughts on the likes of the financial regulator, FÁS and others?
Yeah, well, we've said that the whole public service needs to reform. What we've proposed is that there be a comprehensive spending review across every line of every budget in the public sector. But I think that's different to the slash and burn politics of other parties being emphasised. The public service is valuable. There was a horrible marketing campaign launched against public sector workers over the last 2 years to demonise them and to make them seem like to vilify them as being the cause of our economic problems. That's not the case. So while we have to respect public sector workers, we also have to ensure that the system works properly. On the pay, we have proposed that anybody working in the public sector, be it a minister, be it a head of a department, or be it a doctor, will earn a maximum of €190,000, and that all the grades will flow down from that. So the very most that anyone can earn from the public sector will be €190,000. And that goes for the Taoiseach, the head of the HSE, or the head of FÁS, whoever they may be.
No deviation. Ask Derek about his stance in relation to the outer bypass, and what is his position?
Yeah. The outer bypass has been a very sensitive issue for years, Keith. The reason it's delayed is because the state is suing the state over the project. We have always said...
The state is suing the state?
The state is suing the state. I was listening to Frank Fahey on your show last Thursday, Keith, and I think he pointed out the window and pointed to the limestone that's out the window. There are things that can be done straight away. We can invest in the bus service, we can put a school bus service, we can analyse GLUIS, we can reform the way the traffic works. But the city has developed for the last 13 years in anticipation of a bypass. It's in the county development plan, the city development plan, the Ardon corridor plan, and the transport feasibility study. In other words, for 13 years the city has grown expecting there to be a bypass, and I think it's got to the stage where there has to be a bypass now because the city is dependent on one. Okay.
In relation to Labour, why are Labour only running one candidate in the Galway West constituency?
The party makes that decision They looked
They
at the
obviously
numbers.
know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. We're quite confident with the strategy. I think that we did wonder, with Michael D having been such a incredible representative for us over the years, how it would be the best way to make sure that we maintain that seat. The one thing I would say though, Keith, is that for politics in Galway, for there to be a distinctive voice that's different from Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, that has contributed so much to Galway over the years in the City Council, in terms of even the public debate, that Galway needs to make sure it has a Labour TD. It needs to make sure that in the next government there is a Labour TD from Galway, fighting for Galway, making decisions with a Galway view at heart.
In relation to the independents, what's Labour's position on getting into bed with independents? Should the independents be elected along with Labour?
Our view is that there's two possible outcomes to the election: either a Labour-led government with Fine Gael, or a Fine Gael-led government with Labour. I don't see there being space for independence in election. I think what's needed after the next election is a stable government that will implement a comprehensive programme for government over 5 years. And the last thing we need are more Jackie Healy-Raes and Michael Lowry holding the government over the barrel to get pet projects for their constituencies.
Okay, in relation, somebody else said, are you as close to An Taisce as Michael D?
I don't understand that question, Keith. I mean,
I thought you might have just.
No.
And can you find out, would Labour get back in with Fianna Fáil, I think it is, like they did in bygone days, and could a vote for Labour be a vote for Fianna Fáil?
No, under no circumstances. The Fianna Fáil need to be put out of office. They're responsible for what's got us to this place, and they need a good long spell in opposition so that we can get a new form of politics ingrained in this country, and Fianna Fáil cannot be a part of that. They will only be a hindrance to it. And
will Labour reverse this new social charge that's in our wages? Colin wants to know.
It's very difficult, Keith. But what we have said is that we would review it after the election, and we have put in a pot of €200 million that we say we'll use to ease the burden of it on 70% of people who are now facing increased taxes as a result of the USC. What we can pledge on tax is that over the lifetime of the government, the Labour Party will not increase income taxes on anybody earning under €100,000.
Okay, and again, why hasn't any political party suggested to abolish the USC charge as part of their manifesto, or is this charge controlled by the IMF, as we suspect? Ask the Labour candidate this.
Well, I think what's happened, Keith, is once there's a tax in place, the state becomes dependent on the revenue. What we have said is that we would rebalance the USC to give relief to the people who are on middle and low incomes. Because I met a lady in Oranmore yesterday. She's a public sector worker who's had her salary cut. She's paying a mortgage and she's on her own, and she's finding it extremely difficult. And she was almost in tears talking to me about how she's coping to survive week to week, to even pay her mortgage. And we need to do something about that. And the Labour Party has committed to €200 million in 2011 to address that problem.
Why should people finally vote for you, Councillor Derek Nolan?
Because I think we need to change, and I think we don't need to change from just one crowd to another crowd, but from one politics to a new politics, and I think the Labour Party offers that. I think that we need new people who have integrity and honesty, and that will continue to work for people in Galway West. And I think that this election of any must be used to make sure that we don't just put back people who will try and resurrect the old system that we had going for 14 years that led us to this, that will do something different and will do it with the people at their hearts.
We wish you well. Thank you indeed for joining us today, and you certainly have fire in your stomach amongst any of the politicians that have sat in that chair. You have passion, but well done to you there. Commercial break. We're back just after these. Good morning to you.